Hi, how you doing? If you've been with this channel for a while, or you've looked through some of my older videos, you might be a little confused right now. And that's understandable because, yeah, I have made this video before. But I'm not afraid to admit it wasn't very good. I promise guys, I'm not completely out of ideas to the point where I need to start reusing videos, but I think this is a really interesting question that I simply didn't properly answer. So now, with my hopefully better analytical skills, let's have another look, and hopefully get to the bottom of the question: how fast is Rainbow Dash? Alright, so before we throw numbers around and start comparing Rainbow Dash to fighter jets and more, we need to ask a surprisingly complicated question. What even counts as her top speed? Because yeah, we all know the Rain Boom is her signature move. It's the biggest, flashiest and most physics-defining moment in the entire show, and it looks like it should be her peak. She breaks a sound barrier, creates a literal explosion of colour, and apparently wraps time and space while she's at it, so case closed, right? Well, not exactly. Here's the thing, the Sonic Rain Boom isn't something Dash can do casually. It's treated like a huge deal every time it happens. Early on, she's not even sure she can pull it off at will, and later in the series it becomes more routine, but even then it's usually in extreme situations or big stunts. It's not like she can use it to fly to Sugar Cube Corner, basically. So if we're trying to figure out her regular, sustainable top speed, the Rain Boom might not be the best example. That'd be like judging Usain Bolt's walking pace by how fast he runs a 100-meter sprint. It's just not fair, you know? We also have scenes where she flies really fast without doing a Rain Boom, like when she's chasing someone, saving someone, or trying to prove a point. There are also times where she laps other Pegasi, outruns dragons, or blitzes across Equestrian in what looks like seconds. So here's what I'm thinking. There are two categories of Rainbow Dash speed we need to look at. Baseline Dash, her high speed flight during the everyday stunts, races, or wonderful performances, and Rain Boom mode, her absolute limit, where she breaks the sound barrier and possibly logic itself. We'll dig into both, but for now, just know that if Rainbow Dash can go even faster than sound, and she can, then her everyday flying is already operating in a range where many aircraft would be breaking apart, and that's before we even get into the maths. Before we get too deep into said maths, let's talk about how Equestria tries to explain flight, because it's pretty funny. In Season 2 we get this moment where Twilight's measuring Rainbow Dash's wing power, an in-universe unit for how strong a Pegasus' wing flaps are. At peak effort, Dashie hits 16.5 wing power, and this is treated as really impressive. Now, fans being fans, someone on Reddit actually did the math. According to their post, one wing power equals roughly 0.0000722 horsepower, which is absurdly low, and multiplying that by Dashie's number, we get 0.00119 horsepower. That's 1.2 thousandths of a horsepower. Just to put that in perspective, a human can output around 1 horsepower briefly when sprinting. Pigeon flapping in place uses around 0.3 horsepower. Rainbow Dash, fastest flyer in Equestria, 0.0012. So unless Pegasus wings are generating some kind of magical lift field, and this is Friendship with Magic, so I wouldn't put it past them, this means Rainbow Dash is either violating all known laws of physics, secretly made of helium, or getting a little help from cartoon logic and said magic. But let's pretend for a second that this is real world physics. The basic equation we'd use here to calculate her possible acceleration is power equals force times velocity, and rearranging it to find force, force equals power divided by velocity. At 0.0012 horsepower, approximately 0.9 watts, and flying at 300 meters per second, about Mach 1, the force output is microscopic. She'd need to weigh a fraction of a gram to even stay in the air, let alone break the sound barrier. So yeah, either Rainbow Dash is lighter than a paperclip or, magic? Yeah, that checks out, to be honest. Here's a great example of Rainbow Dash flying fast without breaking the sound barrier or pulling off a Sonic Rain Boom. In Griffin the Brush Off, when Pinkie Pie decides she's not letting Rainbow Dash off the hook, Rainbow flies away incredibly fast. She's weaving through the air with tight turns, quick climbs, and sudden bursts of acceleration that any normal pony would struggle to keep up with, but Pinkie Pie's built different, so it doesn't matter. Now, the episode doesn't give us a hard number, but judging by how quickly Dashie pulls away, she's definitely moving at hundreds of miles an hour. To put it in real world terms, she's cruising at speeds comparable to a high-performance plane. Maybe not supersonic, but fast enough to outrun most things trying to catch her. Think about an F-16 fighter jet, which cruises around 800 miles per hour, or a P-51D Mustang from World War II, which maxes out at nearly 440 miles per hour. Dash is probably somewhere around the Mustang's territory here, flying fast enough to be impressive, but not quite breaking the sound barrier. What's cool about this is it shows her everyday flying speed. The Sonic Rain Boom is her showstopper, but she's got a serious baseline that's already above what any normal bird or pony can manage. So before she's blasting rainbows across the sky, Rainbow Dash is already a legit speed demon. Alright, now let's actually try and get some concrete numbers. Let's take this specific moment from the same part of Griffin the Brush Off. Pinkie Pie is chasing after Dashie and she just blasts along these steep hills, covering a huge distance instantly, or at least it sure looks that way. How fast is she really going here? First, we need to estimate the distance she covers. Judging by the background and the hill's curvature, the segment she flies along looks to be about a mile long. It's a quick, tight path, but steep enough that flying along it is no joke. Next up, timing. The clip shows her travelling that whole stretch in roughly 2 seconds, maybe less. Here comes the somewhat simple maths. Speed equals distance divided by time, and our units are 1 mile divided by 2 seconds, and that equals around about 0.5 miles per second. Convert that to miles per hour by multiplying by 3600, which is how many seconds there are in an hour, we get 0.5 times 3600 equals 1800 miles per hour. Yeah, 1800 miles per hour. For comparison, that's roughly twice the speed of sound at sea level, Mach 2. Even military jets don't fly that fast, especially at cruising. I mean, a F-16 Fighting Falcon only cruises around 800 miles an hour, which is less than half that. But hold on, before we crown Dash the fastest pony in the universe, let's remember this is a cartoon. The instant travel effect is exaggerated for comedy and pacing, not real world physics. But if we take this at face value, she's flying at hypersonic speeds just to escape from Pinkie Pie. That's insane. It also raises questions about how her wings and body survive the G's, the sonic booms, and air friction. So this clip gives us a baseline high-speed estimate that's way above any normal bird or plane. And honestly, it's probably understated since the hills look steeper and longer in-universe. Alright, now that we got a nice, maybe possibly a bit over-exaggerated cruising speed, what about the rain boom? Well, actually, since we got such a high number for that, it's kinda surprising what we get for rain boom, but we'll see that in good time. The first thing we need to do is identify our distance. We're going to be using the iconic rain boom scene here as it's the best source. Before the rain boom happens, Rarity's wings catch fire. She's somewhere overhead, let's estimate about 3,300 feet, matching the typical height of cumulus clouds used in the shot. Next thing we need to do is get the timing. From the flame ignition to the rain boom's rainbow explosion near the ground, it's about 32 seconds. That's the clip's runtime, from when Rainbow Dash notices Rarity to when she saves her and the sonic effect erupts. Next thing we do is apply the formula, speed equals distance divided by time. The distance is 3,300 feet, 0.63 miles, and the time is 32 seconds. So speed equals 0.63 miles divided by 32 seconds, which is approximately 0.0197 miles per second. Convert that to miles per hour, again by using 3600, 0.0197 times 3600 is approximately 71 miles per hour. So using our conservative estimate, Rainbow is flying only 70 miles per hour, which surely is fast by pony standards, but nowhere near breaking the sound barrier. But wait, there's more things happening. This only captures the average descent speed, not the peak velocity she may have during the descent. And to actually produce a sonic boom in real life, you need to exceed speeds of 760 miles per hour, the speed of sound. So if Dash isn't flying supersonic speeds here, then what makes the rain boom so bright and spectacular? Well, it probably comes down to a mix of physics and a little bit of equestrian magic. In real life, a sonic boom happens when an object moves faster than sound, creating shockwaves that compress air and causes the signature boom noise. But the visual part? That's usually invisible, just a pressure wave. So how does Dash's rain boom glow so brightly? Here are some possibilities. Magic amplifies the shockwave. Since ponies have magic, maybe the rain boom isn't just sound breaking the barrier. The magic could energize the shockwave, exciting air molecules so they emit vibrant colours, turning a normal sonic boom into a rainbow explosion. Another option is ionized air glow. At high speeds, shockwaves can ionize air, causing it to glow. Maybe Dash's wings or body generate enough energy to ionize the air, producing a visible light, even if her speed is slightly below supersonic. And another option is visual stylization. Of course, it's a cartoon, so part of it is just artistic flair, but the design choice to link rainbows with speed suggests there's an in-universe explanation that mixes real physics and magical effects. So even if Dash's actual flight speed is only a couple hundred miles per hour, that combined magic and physics cocktail might make the sonic rain boom's rainbow look like a massive sonic shockwave. Basically, she's not just breaking the sound barrier, she's breaking physics in the coolest possible way. Alright, so now that we've done some wild math, and Dash's speeds are pushing well past what any bird or even jet can comfortably handle, it raises a huge question. How does she not just turn into a pancake from all those forces? Because first up, we need to think about G-forces. When you speed up, slow down, or turn sharply, your body feels a force pulling it in different directions. Fighter pilots can handle around 9 Gs before blacking out, but even that's intense. Now imagine flying at Mach 2 or higher, weaving through steep hills and pulling tight loops. Those G-forces would be enormous, because remember, she isn't in a plane or anything, she is doing it all herself, and her entire body is being subjected to those forces. So how does a pony survive that? Well, ponies have some obvious advantages. Firstly, muscle and bone structure. Cartoon ponies seem to be built for athleticism, but real animals don't have the kind of body reinforcements needed to survive that. Dash's body would have to be incredibly strong and flexible, with super dense muscles and joints that can handle extreme stress. Second advantage could be magic and physiology. This is probably the real secret sauce. Magic and Equestria could reinforce her body at a cellular level, letting it withstand forces that would crush humans or birds. Maybe her heart, lungs and circulatory systems are magically enhanced to pump oxygen fast enough to keep up with the strain. Also, air resistance is a beast at these speeds. Flying close to or past Mach 1 means you're hitting the air molecules so hard they compress, heat up and create shockwaves. This causes drag, a force trying to slow her down and heating on her body. If Dashi were a real creature, she'd risk serious overheating and structural damage from all that friction. But again, magic could help. It might create an invisible shield or manipulate air currents to reduce drag and heat. Alternatively, maybe her feathers or fur are somehow heat resistant or super aerodynamic. Then there's the matter of breathing and oxygen. At 1800 miles per hour, the number we came to earlier, the air pressure and flow around her would be extreme. Without special adaptations, she'd suffocate or her lungs would collapse. So perhaps her respiratory system is designed to filter oxygen efficiently under those conditions. Or magic supplements her breathing entirely. Finally, don't forget the psychological and neurological factors. At such speeds, everything around her would blur at terrifying rates. Her reflexes and brain processing speeds must be insane to navigate without crashing. Putting it all together, surviving these speeds isn't just about muscle power or wings. It's a mix of super physiology, magic, and cartoon physics. And honestly, that's exactly what makes Rainbow Dash so awesome. Putting all the evidence and calculations together, the most reasonable conclusion is this. Rainbow Dash's baseline flying speed likely sits somewhere between 300 and 800 miles an hour, fast enough to rival or exceed many modern jets. I hate to give a range, but I kinda had to because due to the sense and nature of what we're doing here, there's not going to be a concrete number. It's a cartoon show and it's not going to be linear and consistent. So that's the range I think her baseline flying could be. While we did do calculations that showed her exceeding speeds of 1800 miles per hour, I think we can forgive that as cartoon logic. When she pulls off a sonic rain boom, she definitely breaks the sound barrier, so contrary to the calculations I did earlier, she has to be going at least 760 miles per hour. Unless in Equestria the speed of sound is just different. But judging by 1, how big of a feat is treated, and 2, the visual effects accompanied, I think it's a safe estimate that it's probably much faster. Maybe over the 1000 miles per hour mark, because something I did overlook when doing those original calculations was the fact that after she completes the rain boom, she then does like another victory lap and comes up the other side of the stadium. Faster than she came down, so it's possible the rain boom itself gives her a massive boost in speed, which maybe could help her go over 1000 miles an hour. It also makes more sense with the numbers I've given for her baseline anyway. That said, her incredible survival and maneuverability at those speeds can't be explained by biology or physics alone. It's a perfect blend of supercharged pony physiology and equestrian magic. So while she's not exactly a real-world jet or rocket, within the show's universe she's as fast as she needs to be, balancing moments of incredible speed with more practical everyday flying. In short, Rainbow Dash is fast, really fast, but it's the style, magic and sheer awesomeness that makes her speed legendary. And that's it for this week's video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and that I did a better job than last time. I tried to give a concrete number as the answer, but honestly with the nature of cartoon logic I had to give a range. Still, more of an answer than the last video, am I right? Anyway, if you did enjoy, please leave a like and consider subscribing if you haven't already. And if you really want to support the channel even more, consider becoming a channel member. Shout out to the Red Ravioli for being the first one of those. Oh, and also, thanks so much for 5,000. A crazy milestone I didn't think I'd ever see. Seriously, I can't thank everyone who supported enough, and I do hope to do some kind of special to celebrate, but I don't really have any ideas for one at the moment. Hopefully I will think of one soon though. I've definitely kept you guys for long enough now, I'm completely waffling, so thanks for watching, I've been Dash, and I'll see you sometime soon.